Hello, hello. Welcome to Marcum Family Gaming. Welcome to the board games. Today, we're here to talk about worker mechanic, well, a game mechanic, worker placement. So as you can see here, I've tried to go through our collection to find all of our worker placement games. We've got a few. So let's go ahead and get into it and talk about them. Probably one of the oldest ones that I have, and it is a family favorite, is Stone Age. This is the ZManGames edition. Published, I believe, back in like 2008. It's your typical worker placement game. Now, when I say worker placement as a game mechanic, there's a few things that you have in mind. You have workers, obviously, that you're going to place on the board to get some type of resource, take some type of action, and the selection is limited. Now, some games will play around with that mechanic a little bit. You can either place and no one else can go there, or maybe there's a second tier where someone can go but it's a little more expensive, or there may be some spots where it's unlimited, like in Stone Age everyone can go and forage to go collect food. At the end of the round, those workers will all come back, and then you proceed to do it again for a set number of rounds, whatever the game is determined, and whoever gets the most victory points wins. Stone Age is a family favorite just because it's fun. It's got an element of set collection. You send workers there, that's the number of dice that you'll roll. Based upon your roll, it's the number of resources you collect. Resources let you buy buildings, collect the cards. You can go to what we call the Cuddle Hut or the Love Shack to make more workers, and you get more. And in worker placement game, more workers is generally a good thing, but you do have to be able to feed your workers, so you can't forget to do that in Stone Age. Probably the next worker placement game that gets played most at our house is Lordz of Waterdeep. Lordz of Waterdeep is another typical worker placement game where you're going to put your workers out onto the board, collect resources. In this game, you're playing as one of the Lords of Waterdeep, and you're collecting mages, clerics, warriors, rogues to go out and complete quests. Whoever can get the most victory points in this game, again, is the winner. That's a typical theme in most board gaming, but particularly in worker placement games. Lords of Waterdeep gets played a lot. We like playing with the expansion Skulls, the Skulls of Skullport. It has two expansions. You can have Undermountain or the Skulls, and it's just so much more fun when you play with those expansions because you get so many resources, but there's a cost that comes with them. So Lords of Waterdeep, a good one to look into. I think it came out in the early 2010. I have no idea what order they came out in order and year-wise chronologically. A recent favorite that we've gotten is Parks. Is a beautiful game. The artwork is amazing, and it just gives you that feel of going around to the national park. The worker placement is a little unique in that you choose where to put your hiker, and you can go down as far as you want, but once they get to the end of the road, they're done, and you only have two workers. So you kind of have to see how far you want to push it based upon the resources that you want or the actions that you want to take. Whoever can accumulate the most victory points through the parks visited will be the winner in Parks. Another excellent game to check out. Keymaster Games. Architects of the West Kingdom. Actually, I've only played this game once, but I had a really good time with it by Renegade Games. This one is a little unique in that your workers don't come back at the end of the round. You get to keep placing your workers out, but at some point you're going to have to take an action to recall your workers, because sometimes people can put them into prison or other things. So you've got to decide when to pull that trigger and bring them back. Okay, well, I need to try this one with my wife and our other friends that come over to play games with us a lot to see if they like it. That's Architects of the West Kingdom. Dungeon Petz. This game's fun, and I just chuckle because you have to clean up the poop after your pets. Don't clean up the poop, your pets can become unhappy. Unhappy pets are not good pets to have because they're harder to sell in the market. You don't want them to get mutations and other things. But in this game, you send out your imps to go out and work. There are limited spaces on the board, which is a requirement in a worker placement game. You send your imps out to go collect resources to help you purchase pets, and then you want those pets to be fed and played with and loved, and so that they grow, and then you can take them to the market and sell them to the dungeon lords that are coming to purchase those pets that you have raised. It's a very fun themed game, but it's got some strategy in it that you'd be surprised. I can play this with my little kids and we have fun with it because we joke around about the pets. But then if we play it with our older gaming group, there's a little bit more going on there. So Dungeon Petz by CGE Games, good worker placement game. Talking of the dungeon lords that come to town to buy those pets, we have dungeon lords. another game by Vlada. Dungeon Lords is another game that I've only played, unfortunately, once. I love the game, so I went out and hunted down the Happy Anniversary Edition that includes the expansion and all the fun parts of it. And it's a fun worker placement game where you are going out there, again, collecting resources and seeing what you can do to become the best Dungeon Lord. Another game by Vlada by CGE Games. Here, Coloma by Final Frontier Games. This is a very fun game by Johnny Pack that we love playing at the highest player count because that's when you have the most interaction. But in this game, you're going around and you can collect buildings. It's got this interesting wheel mechanic here. Let me see if I can get it turned over here and put it on the camera. But this wheel in the middle of the board, it turns, and at certain points, you can take both actions as long as not the majority of people went there, but if that happens, then it gets blocked, so you only get to take one of the actions. So there's just a lot of give and take, and I really like that spinning wheel mechanic in the middle of the board. But there's places you go around the board, take those actions. There's a showdown at the end of every round where whoever sent the most people there and participate in the showdown, if you win, you get a reward. Second place gets another reward. If no one participated, then your guys go to the graveyard. But there's a lot going on, but this is just a very fun, interactive game where you're sending your workers out to the board to take that action and deciding where to go. I love the interaction, and we just always have a blast when we play this game because you think no one's going to go to that spot on the wheel, and then like 3 people go there, and it's like, crap, I can't get to do both things that I wanted to do. Next up is a game on my shelf of, I call it Opportunity, Merchant's Cove. I did not back this on Kickstarter, but I was fortunate enough to see someone post it on a local Facebook group. Again, it's by Johnny Pack, and I just love his work. I've got Lions of Lydia up here on the shelf too. Just talked about Coloma. So I really need to get this one to the table. It's one of my goals in 2022 is to get Merchant's Cove to the table and see what I think about it. Been a fan of all of his other stuff, so I don't think this one will be any different. Tidal Blades, Heroes of the Reef. This game is so much fun. You're training your hero to become the next Tidal Blade, which are these heroes that protect the islands. There's this part of the reef where there's a veil and monsters are coming through that veil, and the Tidal heroes of before are gone, so now we're this kind of next generation, and we go out and perform stunts and acts of bravery and heroics to level up our character. You'll notice that part 2, this is part 1, it says down here on the bottom. Part 2 is coming out on Kickstarter here in February. I haven't gotten to look too much into it yet, but I'm excited. Loved part 1, loved the worker placement, loved the deluxe components in this game. Just love this game. Beautiful artwork. Just can't say enough good things about Tidal Blades. Red Raven Games edition here. We've got Near and Far, Ancient World, Islebound, Artifacts Inc. Artifacts Inc. being the lightest game here. You go out and you collect your cards, and it's a dice placement instead of worker placement. So this is another spin on what we've dubbed the video of worker placement. You're placing your dice out. What you have them on is what you need to do to go out and do actions and see who can collect the most artifacts and win that game. Islebound, you're going out and sailing around the seas. Each of the different places have different resources that you'll collect. Based upon those resources that you collect, then you can get more workers. More workers, like I said, is always good in a worker placement game. So you're going and racing around the board trying to get the most victory points to win that game. Ancient World has a little bit of a combat mechanic in it. You go out and you fight monsters. It again has places on the board where you go out and get resources. Those spaces are limited, and you try to slay the most creatures and become the master of the ancient world. Near and Far has that storybook mechanic, which was also in Above and Below. This is kind of the sequel, next hit in the series. But you've got places where you can go in town to do things, and then you've got the storyboard, the book that's open in front of you, and you go around and explore the world, get more members to your party, go around and see who can and get the most victory points again. But I really love Ryan Lockett and his games. I think I've got almost all of them. I'd have to go double check his BGG because he may have made something that's stuck through the cracks on me that I didn't get. But that would be the Red Raven series of worker placement games. Next up, this is a game you can find at Target or any big box store or of course, at your local gaming stores as well. But Pan Am was a surprise to me. I hadn't really heard of it, wasn't on my radar. Played it with some friends and just had to go pick it up. You're back in that Pan Am era of flight. The flights around the world are all based upon the flights that they took back in that time era. And the worker placement mechanic in this one is you go there, but then you can get bumped down and the cost can change. So that's another little variation on worker placement. But it's a very fun game, pretty easy to pick up and pretty easy to get to the table and play. Like I talked about earlier with Artifacts Inc., Kingsburg is another dice placement game. Your dice are your workers. So at the beginning of each round, you roll your dice. Whoever rolls the highest is last in order, so whoever rolled the least gets to go first. There are members of the court that you're trying to influence. When you place your dice there, you get a resource. Based upon the resources that you collect, you build up your town. And then at the end of each round, monsters come in to attack, so you want to build up some defenses. The king sends aid, and you play through the course of 4 or 5 rounds, and whoever has the most victory points at the end of that one wins. Kingsburg is a family favorite. It's just always fun to chuck some dice, see who can build. You can either go on that religious track, you can go on other military tracks, and see which one is going to be the one that ends up winning. So Kingsburg, this is the older edition by Fantasy Flight Games. I believe there's a new edition out that you can pick up more easily, but it's a really fun game that we love here at Marcum Family Gaming. Anachrony. Anachrony is a beast. This is the Infinity Box, so it has everything in it. This has appeared on a few of my videos, most played games in 2021. It's probably one of my top 5 games. I like the worker placement aspect in this. You have workers that are specialty workers. You have scientists, you have leaders, you have workers, and then there's an alien race. But based upon their specialty, some of the spots they can get a bonus at, a discount in building, collect extra resources. This game has a lot going on, but at its core, it is a worker placement game. You're taking your workers, putting them in mechs, putting them out into the world, getting the resources. They come back at the end of the round, and you go on through the course of the rounds and see who can get the most victory points. But Anachrony has that time travel element where you're giving yourself resources in the present round, but it would technically be the past because you're getting them from your future self and you need to pay them back in the future at some point. Anyway, there's a lot going on, but it's a super fun game and I highly recommend it. If you've got someone in your game group that has it, get it to the table and give it a go. Everdell. This game is a very fun, you're building up your town and your village, worker placement. You send out your workers to collect resources, collect berries, collect gold and coins, and other gems and resources. Use those to collect cards to see who can build the best tableau, and you're kind of looking for that combo that you're building up. But this was one of the top games of the year when it came out, but it's still fun to play. I love getting Everdell to the table. It's so pretty, it's so gorgeous, and we've got the collector's edition, so it's got like the squishy berries and just all kinds of fun stuff. These last 2 games, I'll go ahead and pull them out side by side, talk about them simultaneously and individually. These are what I would say Dune Imperium and Lost Ruins of Arnak are both kind of worker placement plus games. They got compared to each other because of that element. Their worker placement and deck building kind of meshed in together. In my experience, in my gameplay, they've been very different. I won't say that one's more fun than the other, but I will say this: if you're looking to get down and dirty and scrap, Dune Imperium's the game you want to play. It's a game to 10 points. That should say something in and of itself. Whoever gets to that 10th point triggers game end, but you can get past that if you've got some other stuff going on. I love the worker placement, the tightness of the game, everything that's so, you're fighting for every inch of ground that you're going for. I've loved every play. I've had a Dune Imperium, hoping to get some friends to the table this week and give it a play. Lost Ruins of Arnak. This game it's a lot of fun. There is a little bit of interaction in that the worker spots are limited, but it's not, in my opinion, as cutthroat. And maybe I'm just playing it wrong, and you can comment below and let me know how I'm totally wrong about that. But in my opinion, if you want to sit down and have a good time, have fun, play in your sandbox, choose which way you want to go up the temple track, fight guardians, explore lands, deck build, whichever way you want to go for Arnak. If you want to get down and dirty in the trenches, Dune Imperium. I just recently picked up the expansion Expedition Leaders for Lost Ruins of Arnak. Excited to get that to the table and play with the asymmetrical leaders and their powers and see how it adds a whole lot more flavor to the game. But these two are high on my list right now, maybe top 10, top 20 at least. But I love and enjoy getting these two games to the table often. That's what we have here at Marcum Family Gaming when it comes to worker placement games. Comment below and let us know what other games that you like to play when it comes to worker placement, or just whatever you like to play in general, to give us an idea of some other things that we should look into. Appreciate you joining us here on the channel. Please give us a like, hit that subscribe button, share our channel with your friends so we can continue to learn and grow together and create a good community where we can talk about gaming that is uplifting and can help other people find games that they would like to play. Hope you have a good day. See you next time. Bye.